Hey guys, Tim Urbanek with Elite Endurance. Today's tip of the day, we're going to go over the squat, a pretty commonly exercise that's done in a lot of gyms, a lot of athletic facilities, but a lot of times we see it done incorrectly. So today we're just going to go over it kind of real quick, giving a couple tips and a couple things you want to watch for as you're doing it. I'm going to have Nick do the demo athlete here for today. We did remove the safety catches so you got a better view. So obviously if you're doing a squat, we always recommend you got the cages and the racks and stuff, so if something happens you can let the weight bail onto the safety arms. But what we'll have Nick do is first, to get into position, he's just going to be doing a back squat on this, and I'm actually going to have him turn here. So if he's got the bar and it's coming across the top, basically across the traps right here, that's what's considered like a high bar squat. There's two different types. You can do a high bar, which is across the traps, or you can do a low bar squat, which is just about 1 to 2 inches or so, kind of just below the deltoid, so it's going to sit lower on the back. Not really any advantages per se for either one. It's more personal preference. If you do have a high bar squat going, a lot of that force will be transferred into the knees. If you got that low bar squat, more of that force is kind of transferred into the hips. Again, personal preference. It doesn't really give you any real difference per se when you're lifting. It's just a matter of what feels most comfortable for that athlete or that person. So what I'll have Nick's a high bar squatter, so he's going to go across the traps. I'll have him go ahead and unrack it, but before he does, I always tell people, get your setup and get your position good. So as he gets under the bar, he's going to want to make sure that bar is centered on the back of his traps. He's going to take a big breath in, inflate his chest, and then walk the weight back out. So as he has the weight out, you're going to want that barbell in line with the body, so over the shoulders, over the hips, and over the ankles is what we're going for. That's the solid position you want to start in, and that's the same position you want to finish in after you've come up out of the hole on that squat. As he does the squat here, which we'll have him demo here in a minute or two, as he does the squat, the goal that we're looking for is it's a hip-driven movement first. A lot of people assume it's the knee, so they'll come forward with that knee, which is improper. It's a hip hinge, so it's going to start with that hip shooting back, and then it's going to, as he sinks down, that's when his hips, and his knees, I should say, will start to bend and open up. The goal on it is, and I see this a lot in the gym, you got the guys that want, you know, the big numbers, but they only do like quarter squats. So for us here at Elite Endurance, every squat has to be quality, every squat has to count. So we're looking for his thigh to hit parallel. That's what we're looking, or the crease of his hip to be at about that knee angle when he's down at in the low hold position here. So what we'll do is we'll have him take a deep breath. We're going to have him go down nice and slow, and we're going to kind of have him hold it at the bottom, which is going to get difficult for him, but we'll have him hold it at the bottom so I can kind of show you the positioning as well once he's there. So big inflation of the chest, holds his breath in, and he's going to sink down nice and slow as he comes and does this. Again, opening up or unhinging the hips is the first movement here. So we'll have Nick demo it down to the bottom. Good. So as he's in this position, as I said, you're going to look for that thigh to be parallel, or the crease of that hip there to be right at the knees is what we're looking for. Bars over the cross, it's nice and centered. With that high bar squat, you do have a tendency, the common mistakes would be a rounding of that back. If you had that low bar squat going, with that one you kind of have some tendencies to let the bar roll down on the back because you're not holding it really in a good position. As Nick drives up, what he's going to be doing is he's driving through, all the weight should be on his heels. And I'll have him demo this as I'm talking. He's going to be driving through the heels, so there should be no weight in the balls of the feet. He should basically be able to curl those feet up in theory because all the weight is planted right into that heel. He's driving the heels into the ground and pressing up as he goes. Now as he comes down, he's driving his knees out. And as he comes up, he's obviously bringing them back in, and that's going to give you the proper tracking that you're looking for on the bone structure. So that will also give you a real good hint if you see his knees are really far forward over in front of his toes. A lot of times that's due to two things. One, the athlete is bending at the knees first and not at the hips. And the second part would be they're not letting those knees come out and track properly. They're driving it, the bone structure forward, which is going to put that knee over the toe, which is a compromised position, especially when you start to get to some heavy weights. You want to train the basics, the good foundation, the good mechanics, even with the lighter weight, because that's going to transition and carry over into those heavier weights as he does it. So what we'll do is we'll have him demo. He'll just fire off 3 here. Nice slow down, nice slow up. There's no bouncing at the bottom. That's another common mistake you see a lot of guys make. Good. 2. And 1 more, and then we'll have him just hold it at the top. And the other thing I really want to key in on is Head placement. I get that asked a lot. When I'm squatting, where should I be looking? Big thing is you don't want your neck overextended. You don't want to put any extra stress on the neck or on the traps, especially if you've got that high bar squat where the barbell is over the back of the traps. His goal should be just a nice neutral head focusing straight out in front and think about 5-10 feet out in front and kind of looking down at the ground. Keep your head nice, neutral, and relaxed. You're not looking up. You're not staring straight down. You want to make sure everything is in line, keeping you in a good position. As far as elbow drive, generally when guys will start that squat, the elbows are kind of back a little bit. As he comes down into that bottom position, from here he can drive up and really get those elbows to where they're almost pointed at a 90 to the floor, and that's where he's driving up again, making sure he's driving through the heels as he's standing. So there you go, guys. I'll have him rack it up. He's been holding it for a while there. Any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comment section. Like I said, it's a commonly performed exercise, but just as commonly as it's commonly performed incorrectly. So you want to make sure you got your good setup, your good positioning, and then from there you can start adding in the extra weight or the speed and stuff like that. But just for the basic common squat, these are some of the tips and tricks that you can use to make sure you're dialed in and building up that foundation nice and solid, guys. So again, till next time, take care, and remember, by endurance we conquer.